Good morning. I guess good afternoon to you, Juan. You are joining us from the state of Oklahoma. So excited to talk to you about your story.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's a real privilege to be able to be on this platform. It's something that needs to be told. I really appreciate your time and this opportunity.
Yeah, well, can't wait to dig in. Do you want to start by first just telling us a little bit about yourself, your childhood, where you grew up, and what your life was like?
Well, before I can tell you who I am today, I want to say thank you. Thank you for letting me be here and share my story. A story that honestly I used to be ashamed of, to ashamed to tell. Um, See, I know so many people who will never get the chance to have a platform like this. People who are justice involved, people who live with barriers and disparities, people who've been silenced by society. Their stories matter just as much as mine, but the world will never hear them. So, while you hear my words, I hope that you also hear their voices because I don't just speak for me. I speak for those. I speak for the kids hiding in closets from abuse. Every person sitting in a cell. Every person trying to get their kids back, and every individual has been told that their life is over because they couldn't find recovery. And I want to say this up front. I'm not here because I'm special. I'm not here because I'm different or I'm better than anyone else. I'm here because I was given a chance. I was given a lot of chances, and I fought against myself to make that chance change. You know, and my childhood was I had a mother and father that were both alcoholics and drug addicts, and trauma is something that lives like a memory that I wasn't able to shake for a long time. Like when I was a kid, like some people's memories are Christmas Day or birthdays. My memory was my mother getting beat unconsciously uh, a lot of times. And I'm probably going to get real emotional telling this story because it's just, I go back to that little kid and full of fear. And I remember times, when my mother, she was a really bad alcoholic and she just didn't pick the right men in her life. And to no fault of her own, really. Um, there were a couple times when I was watching her getting beat and getting ready to be raped, and I was a little boy, and I wanted to do something about it. Me and my grandmother and my sisters, we were all in the closet hiding because this kind of occurrence happened all the time. And I remember hitting this guy, grown man, with the on the back with a broomstick, trying to protect my mother. And when he turned around, I jumped under the bed. And later on, he stopped what he was doing and he left. And eventually, my mom got the best of him when he went to sleep. Um, a couple days after that, my aunt and her biker boyfriend got into a big fight, and he was beating her, and my mother and my aunt started throwing a bunch of knives at him and cut his face all up, and he ran out of the house. So the police were constantly called to my place of residence when I was a kid. You know, uh, we went to shelters and we went to all kinds of shelters because my mom was kicked out of place after place. We were evicted, um, living on the streets or living in a shelter. And I remember the shelter smelled like urine. It was nasty. I remember seeing a cake that looked delicious, but it was full of disappointment. You know, and me and my sisters, was running around with my mother, and we ended up going to the lake to live for the summer. And at first it was fun, but then I realized, like we're homeless. It just the adverse childhood experiences in my life, was violence, addiction, homelessness, poverty, family separation. If you did a genogram on my family tree, you would see trauma, domestic violence, incarceration, mental illness, stigma. Um, there's no way that I could have a positive outcome with a childhood like that. I
Yeah,
mean, some
that's,
people do. Go ahead.
oh, I said that's so, so hard. I mean, just listening to you describe it, my heart breaks for that kid and for you. And so many people that we talk to about their stories have this just terrible environment that doesn't set any kid up for success, that can't lead to a different outcome often than substance use to dull the pain, mental health issues, long-standing trauma that you just have to carry throughout your life. That just sounds so, so difficult.
That was like as everything followed me into adulthood. Like everything, I was never able to shake a lot of those situations. I could not alleviate the pain and separate myself. Um, Time went on, and I remember going in DHS custody, and that was a place where I felt safe. I knew I was going to eat. I knew it was going to be warm. Later on, my mother. Go ahead.
Oh, did you go into DHS custody because of separation from your mom? Talk about how that happened.
Well, we lived in a at this time we lived in a house, and there were times when we didn't have running water, electricity, and she would have these parties, and there'd be people full like everywhere in the house. We didn't have a lot to eat. I remember eating like toothpaste and Oreo cookies for dinner, and somebody called DHS, and they showed up at the school to pick me up.
How old were you?
Want to say I was probably about 8. I think I was about 8 years old. Um, I try to go back and try to do like a timeline on my age, and it's just hard to get back to those years. I remember, and it's kind of confusing for me now as an adult, but as a kid, you just remember the painful situations. That's what sticks with you. You don't remember your age. You remember the trauma, and you try to forget it, but that's what highlights your memory.
So, so tough. And eventually, you made your way to the criminal justice system. Can you talk to us about your first encounter with the criminal justice system? What do you remember?
Well, it started in my youth. Started as a juvenile. That's what it started. My mom eventually got sober, and she married another individual who's in recovery. And I had all these behavioral issues, and they thought that like sending me to treatment before I actually used alcohol and drugs would be uh, what would cure me or help me, help me better help me be a better person or a better child, and it never worked. And I started going to juvenile facilities. I started getting in trouble, and I went to group homes and detention centers. Um, kind of, they call them detention centers, but really they're like condition centers, survival centers, making my way to where I would be okay when I was incarcerated. And that's what happened. I mean, I had a couple of charges. I was 17, and they just said, like kind of let me go as an adult. And probably a month later, I was I was I ran away from home, and I was with a friend of mine, and we seen some other kids, and he was like, "Hey, why don't you go take their chain and like go beat them up or whatever." And I'm a little guy, but I went out there and did what I needed to do, and they called the police, and that was my first robbery by force. I went to the county jail and got a deferred sentence. I know I think it was a suspended sentence, and I should have asked to go to the Marine Corps or something. I meant my life would have been different by then, but I didn't. I wasn't even thinking. I signed for my time. I didn't know what I was signing for, but I signed for my time. And when I got out. I not even a month later, I went back in, and that's when I was down. I had a 7 and a 10 running consecutively. I did day for day on that 7 year sentence, and it was, and I mean, I've done all kinds of things. I had to fight, I had to do, I've seen all kinds of things. I've been in a couple riots. Um, it wasn't a fun place, I knew that I had to survive, I mean, there's no correction in the correctional system in Oklahoma. There's no rehabilitation whatsoever from my lens, looking through my own eyes with my experience and observation.
How old were you? Like, what span of your life was this 7 years?
18 through 24.
Wow. So young kid.
Yeah, they say it's the best years of your life, and it really wasn't. No, it wasn't.
Not for you.
I don't know. Yeah, it was terrible. Like, it was terrible. It's just I know I had friends that finished high school, and people that I barely talked to. I mean, the highest uh, the highest grade I went to was about a couple months in the 10th grade. The good thing about prison was getting my GED. I got my GED in prison. Um, the teacher actually told me that I was a really good writer. I was really creative, and I was just like, and I was kind of shocked to hear that. Um, it just seems like no matter what I did in there, I always got in trouble, and I was seeking approval from individuals that I've never seen again. It just kind of I wanted to be a part of something because I felt isolated.
Yeah. Yeah. That feeling of lack of belonging, lack of love, I feel like is also so common when we talk to people, just this need to belong. And when you don't have that, you're going to seek it from wherever you can, even if it's from people that don't actually have anything good to offer you. But it's so hard. It's like a universal need.
Yeah, I know that my family, they tried their best. I just kind of, even though I grew up the way I did, I know that they did everything they possibly could, with what they had and the learned behavior, that what they knew, no matter how dysfunctional it was. There was a lot of things that happened in foster care and, like in the juvenile system, things that I've seen that kind of conditioned me to be hard on the outside, and have this face that, like, or this front, like, that I have no fear, but inside I was just terrified. And, I lived like that for a long time, you know.
Yeah,
For
you
violent offender, go ahead.
go ahead. Oh, I don't want to interrupt you. Go ahead.
No, for violent offenders, there's no reintegration. There wasn't for me. I got a good luck. That was pretty much it. I didn't get any classes. They didn't help me get in my ID. They did nothing for me.
So hard. When we were first jumping on, you were talking about periods of your life that you were homeless, and I'm wondering if you can talk a little bit more about what that experience was like for you as a kid, how it felt, what your quality of life was, what your life was like day to day.
There were times when I was actually homeless when I was a kid. My mother was tired and she just gave up. And after after being out of prison and going through, like, I'm in recovery now, and just going through certain situations to where drugs were part of my story, and they just led me to psychosis, and it was just like it was easier for me to be on drugs than to be responsible, and I was always seeking something else outside myself to kind of cure my insides, to make me feel whole, make me feel like everybody else. But I lived on the streets for a while. I went from treatment center to treatment center, and trying to get better. That's when I ended up in Vegas, on the streets in Vegas, and it's a lot different from Oklahoma. To kind of backtrack, like in Oklahoma, I was on the streets here for a little while, and and try to go to a nonprofit like a General Pershing and got kicked out for using and was just trying to steal and trying to get what I could to get drugs. It
Yeah.
wasn't fun. It wasn't fun at all.
So you were released when you were 24 years old. And talk about that day after being inside for 7 years. What do you remember about the day that you were released?
Uh, I remember uh, I remember just fear because during that whole period of time, like there were many individuals that came back after they got out, sometimes a month, sometimes 2 months, and they came back with more time. That's kind of, and some of the correctional guards, like it's kind of, they said some pretty hateful things, but I wasn't a great guy in there anyway, and it was, I'll see you again, I remember that, and that's what I thought, I thought that I was going to be back in, and my mother, was she cared, she did that time with me, she wrote me letters, she did all kinds of things, she helped me get by, and I lived with her for a little while, and when I got out, I got all my stuff, the microwave and everything, and I put it in my room, because I was institutionalized, and that was my safe haven, was being in my room. That's what I knew.
Yeah, really, really hard. What was the turning point for you? A lot of people, when they share their journeys, have like a point in time where they're just done. Did that happen for you? And if so, what was that?
Well, it took a lot of failures to get to that point. It took a lot of me putting myself in bad situations to get there. Um, due to like the drug use and everything, like I ended up, suicide is a part of my story too, the mental health portion of being on drugs and going through certain situations. And that's what had happened. Like I felt like I had no place to turn to. And I ended up trying to, trying to check out. And I ended up jumping off about a 40-foot bridge and broke my pelvis and twisted my arm all up. And, I stayed down there for a couple days before somebody found me. And you would think that would be the turning point. You would think that would be like, okay, it's time to get it together. What you're doing is not working. And, and I thought that that would be it, but it wasn't. They rushed me to OU Medical, and and I was a psychiatric patient. I met a nurse, and I told her the truth, and I had to have a sitter and everything. And I went through the whole medical setting and the barriers and disparities that individuals face because my insurance ran out, and I wasn't able to get another surgery. And I wasn't. I went through quite a bit, and you would think that would that would change what I was doing or change what I was thinking, but it didn't. It didn't. I went on longer, until I was in Portland, and I went out to have a couple of drinks and ended up doing some drugs and ended up overdosing, and I ended up throwing up in my lungs, and in the hospital for a couple of days, and no one, I didn't have identification, I didn't have anything. Um, I seen a social worker on a follow up, and this lady just hit me with so much empathy that I never felt that before. Like I never had somebody treat me the way she did. And it led me to therapy, and it led me on a path to recovery. And that's what changed. I think that's what changed the most. And, you know, when I finally got my life together, it was like I need to be a social worker. That's what I need to do. I need to help the people that that are just like me, that are broken. I mean, that's kind of that's one of the hardest things to look at today is where I used to be and then where I am now. Um, it makes me want to keep fighting for the people that can't fight for themselves, for the people
Oh,
that are stuck in addiction.
yeah. So hard. Tell me more about the social worker. I think empathy is such a powerful thing. But I imagine that over your journey, you had a number of people try to engage with you. What was different about her, or what did she say, or what worked for you?
I think that I know that I was broken. I was hurt. I It didn't work that time. And I've tried so many times, and this time it was gonna happen again. I was just like, I cannot live life like this. I need to just not be here anymore. And she kind of called me out. And it was that time when I was that scared kid. That's what it was. Like I was that kid in my childhood with that trauma. And she just felt like the person that could hear me. And that's what changed. That's what changed. That was in Hillsboro, Oregon, and at Virginia Garcia, their clinic. I met a therapist named Gabriella right after that, and it was really hard for me to kind of think about my strengths or anything positive about myself for quite some time. But little by little, it started happening. Little by little, like I made a couple goals and started achieving them. I had a dry eraser board, uh, and it's just and then I ended up getting my kids back. I ended up I started being the person that I've always wanted to be, but I just didn't know how. Addressing that childhood was what helped me be better. That's what helped change me. It was something that I had to be aware of and kind of acknowledge and keep the good things and let go of the bad things that don't make me better today.
Yeah. How did you get back from Oregon to Oklahoma?
I was with someone, I had a girlfriend for a while, and she changed jobs, so we moved, and I ended up moving to Austin. I had a big social support in Portland, and I had a big social support in Austin, and coming to Oklahoma, uh, that's that was when I decided to go back to college. It was one of the things is I was like, I think I can do this. Asking everyone else, they didn't think I could. There was a lot of people that didn't think I could make it through a semester. I didn't have a lot of positive support.
It's so hard. And you did. Tell us where you are in your educational journey now.
Well, I started at Rose State, and that was um, that was all USA academic team, the New Century Scholar at Rose State, and I went to undergrad at OU, and I was Truman Scholar at OU, outstanding senior, the McNair Scholar. What's kind of what's really bad about the educational system is that I think, from my perspective, in my opinion, is that when you're involved with the criminal justice system, you have to disclose, what kind of crimes you had, for you to be accepted on campus. You have to go to every county and have the court clerk in every county you got a misdemeanor or felony in, and have them send information in uh, about your charges. And I understand that with safety, but being a transfer student to the University of Oklahoma, that already showed that I was already changed, that I already was making better decisions. And to kind of back up on that, you know, like I tried to get a job at my community college, and they told me to change careers. You know, when I was in school, I was trying to be a landscaper just to work part time. Um, you'll let me go to college there, but you know, you won't let me work there. You know, it was just I constantly during this whole process at the beginning of the story. I mean, I've constantly been discriminated against, constantly been told no. I constantly I've been told that, you know, you're not going to make it. You can't do this. You know, it's just every door was closed. And, and I know a lot of individuals, you know, they'll stop after so many no's, but it's just, I got to keep going. You're not going to stop me. I'm going to, I'm going to keep fighting. You know, I know what I want and I know what I have to do. And there has to be a way around, a way around it, you know?
Some incredible resilience.
Yeah. To kind of, you know, that story about that hospital. Um, so I'm in my undergrad at OU, and I had a chance to do a practicum, and I wanted to do my practicum for the state, but I ended up going to OU for this at the same place where I was a patient, helping
Wow.
the same people that were just like me, exactly just like me, you know, doing psych referrals and working on transportation, you know, like trying to do placement for psych, and just it was a great opportunity to face that fear, you know. And I had a lot of nightmares in the very beginning of being under that bridge or falling. And I had a lot of things I had to deal with, and I had to find somebody to talk to, you know, to make sure that I could heal from that, you know, because trauma heals, but you know the scars really never go away. Scars never leave.
I bet. Talk to me about, I think, the fact that you have so much lived experience yourself just makes you an incredible advocate and support system to people going through it. But talk a little bit about why you think it is important for people with lived experience to go into social work, to become therapists.
Well, it's just not only being therapist. I think that there's so many different jobs you can have as a social worker, so many things you could do. It's just kind of giving back. It's kind of meeting people where they are. And if you have that lived experience, you have a better connection, you know, and that was one of the things that, and I love college. I love the university I go to because I'm a graduate student now. You know, so like I've learned a lot in the classroom, a lot in the classroom, but sometimes there's things that books can't teach. You know, when you lived it, you can understand where they're coming from, you can meet them on their own level, and you're not afraid to go into the places that are dangerous. And it's my purpose is to help as many people as I can while I'm here. That's it. I've had this life that I've had, I've made so many bad decisions and had so many consequences. Then I take full responsibility for all those decisions and the crimes and everything that happened. You know, it just I can't change that, but I can help somebody else change. I think that's really my purpose here. And I encourage other people that have that lived experience to go back to school, you know, to better your life, especially when you've been involved in the criminal justice system and have felonies and misdemeanors. You know, go back to college, you know, because you can provide for your family. You know, why we get this time today together to talk, there's so many other people that are never going to have this opportunity. They'll never have this opportunity to talk. And hopefully my words can help them, you know, can help them have a better life. And that's what everyone wants.
Totally. What advice would you give people earlier on? I mean, it sounds like you've had significant trauma in your life, moments of just complete hopelessness. For somebody who's in that space right now, what would you say to them?
I would tell them that no matter how far you've fallen, there's always a way forward. It's gonna be hard. People aren't gonna believe in you. People are gonna tell you no. You're not gonna get the job you want. You won't get the house that you want or the place that you want. But if you keep working, it'll all work out. It'll all work out when it looks like it's not going to.
I love that. Talk to me a little bit about your criminal record and how it's been a barrier in your life.
Yes, like ever since I got out, it's been a barrier. Ever since I've ever since I was released from prison, I mean, I tried to get job after job. Um, I worked at McDonald's. I was a trash man. There was so many things that I was willing to do because I needed the money to pay for my fines. I didn't want to go back. Um, from places to stay, from even just social circles. When you let someone know your past, you're automatically judged. So my record has followed me around, and this is something that I haven't explained at all, and I'm sure that somebody has before. But no matter the recognition that I've gotten, no matter my degree or my social status or my occupational status, when I get pulled over, that's what they see. That's exactly what they see. They see the same person that that I can't that I can't get rid of. They see that past that constantly follows me around.
It's got to be so hard to be reduced to that in so many cases.
Yeah, it seems like once you think you're gonna break away and your life is gonna change, something comes up to where that past comes up. It's a constant. It's a constant, and you know, uh, I think that most individuals that have those records, they need to get their records expunged. To be an example to others of choosing a different path, making a difference by choosing something different. Like it has to it has to change because that's the only way it will.
Yeah. Yeah. If someone were to ask you what you don't see when someone looks at your record, what would you say?
And okay, what I don't see when someone looks at my record,
Someone looks at your criminal record. What are they missing, right? You mentioned they're immediately making judgments and assumptions, but they're not seeing the complete picture.
they don't see my real self. They don't see what I stand for. I mean, they don't see that I'm a consistent father, that I'm sacrificing for my kids, that I'm trying to make this world better or make our community better. It's they judge me before they even get to know me. And that's the truth. That's exactly how individuals that have no kind of criminal justice involvement, uh, they have this stigma towards others, this negative stigma that you're like this, and really you would never know someone even had a record unless they disclose that information.
Yeah. Yeah. It's true. It's so sad. I see that with background checks all the time. Um, what does the future hold for you? What are your goals in life?
Well, right now I'm working on graduate school. Uh, Made it through the summer, and the semester is going to start here in about 5 days. I'm trying to push policy so the hospitals can have access to the homeless member information system. As case managers, we lose our clients. Usually, they end up in the hospital, or and so and or we can't find them at all. And that having that transparency and that communication between the hospital and the agencies that deal with the unhoused individuals would be beneficial. I'm working in the Department of Corrections to help a senior at OU get access to be able to perform at the different prisons. I let my volunteer DOC badge go for a little while, but I'm doing the training in September. That was one of the things was is going to the prisons and helping the individuals when I first came back to Oklahoma. And now it's and I asked, like, can I do some kind of reintegration, classes? Can I help in some kind of way? And I didn't hear anything, and so I was like, I needed to get my education. So now they'll probably listen. So yeah, just trying to help individuals getting out with reintegration, trying to drop their recidivism rates. Our incarceration rates are unbelievable. Like it's here in Oklahoma, we have super high incarceration rates, more than a lot of people in the nation. And just trying to be an advocate for other people in policy. I mean, that's really what I want to do. After I go through graduate school, I might have to go back to college. I might have to go get a law degree. I don't know for sure. I mean, the sky's the
Good.
limit right now. It's just but I want to raise my two boys, to be good men, and
How
that's
old are your boys?
11 and 12. They're 11 and 12. It's having this background and having this life, you would think that, I wouldn't support the police or anything like that, like it's my son wants to be a highway patrol, and I love that. I want to change that generational trauma. I want to change that. I want to make it to where they're safe and they have success and they have positive outcomes. I've it's funny because I had to do background check when I was a Cub Scout leader for Pack 277 here in Midwest City. And then when I was a soccer coach, I was a soccer coach for about 5 years for my kids. Everything that they've done, I've supported and I've been right there. I want to give them that same support that I didn't have.
Yeah, I can hear just from the tone of your voice what a loving father you are and how much that means to you. Did your record, you mentioned, and this comes up with a lot of people that we talk to, has your record been a barrier in participating in your kids' lives? Have some of these background checks prevented you from doing things that you want to do?
Oh, totally. Yeah, at the school, like I wanted to actually go and try to be a teacher at the substitute teacher so I can be there with my kids. And yeah, the there was part of the Department of Education. I filled out an application and they told me to it was a temporary service that hires substitute teachers, and I was upfront and honest with them about my past, and they were like, "Yeah, it's been so long, it's gonna be just fine. Pay the $150 and the background check and everything." Then I did all that, and they told me no, and then I try to call to see can I do anything different. Um, and that's just how it is. I mean, it looks great when you're honest and you say all these things, but on paper, you're still the same person. I still can't work in a school. My kids can go to school there. I can go to the parent teacher conferences, but I can't participate.
So heartbreaking. So hard. Um, let's see. Who are some of the mentors, some of the people in your life that you look up to?
My as of now, like it's well, even this past 2 years, my life has been kind of isolated. Like I've just worked on me. I've just fought me to make me better. And that was one of the things to make sure that I focus. I have so many people that would be willing to help me, but I just don't call them. I mean, it's funny because my mentors are people that do like motivational talks on YouTube, like like David Goggins or Matthew McConaughey or I mean there's so many other ones that I mean it's just there's so many other like Joe Rogan. They I listen to all these things, and it motivates me to not be a victim anymore, to get up early, to seize the day and try to learn as much as I can because I don't want to end up where I used to be, you know. There's so many doctors and so many professors that I've had a chance to work with, and it's kind of even like with the McNair scholars, even the Truman scholars. I kind of take that back because uh, Dr. BL, uh, Dr. Babcock Loomish, she's the executive secretary for the Truman Foundation, and it's just some of the talks that I've had with her have been very inspiring talks. It just but I've had Dr. Bolin, Dr. Dr. Bolin for the McNair Scholars, just the same way. There's been so many people that's been very supportive, through my academic career. Uh, it just, but when I get home, that's just how it is. I mean, it's just me and trying to read, trying to learn, trying to better myself. It's just pour into myself to like fight myself to do things I don't want to do.
It's really, really important work, you know. That's where it all starts. You got to work on yourself first before you can help anybody else. But sometimes it's the hardest work to do.
Yeah, it is very hard. It's really hard. I worked with kids that were unhoused and an agency here in Oklahoma City, and that was really hard. That was really hard to see. I didn't have my kids that year on Christmas Eve, so I went to all my clients' house and made like little bags, little baskets, and just spent some time with them. And there were a lot of them that hated the holidays
Yeah.
because that was the time when they were alone and everybody else was together. It just kind of, and there's been things even at the hospital that I've seen that stuck with me. This work is hard because it's real. It's real. It pulls your heartstrings because we all have the same emotions that everyone else does. It's uh it's been a great opportunity to learn how to separate myself and have boundaries. It's just
That's hard to
yeah,
do.
to work I can yeah, I just if not, you'll get burned out and
Yeah, you do. You do. I remember struggling with that when I was a public defender, just early on having a hard time just breaking myself away from the work, just separating myself, not carrying those stories, those experiences, those hardships, those conversations, stuff that, you know, you'll never unhear, you'll never unsee, but you gotta just learn to have separation from it. And it's a really, really difficult thing to do because it's
we
haunting a lot of it.
oh yes, and you take it home with you. I mean, you take it. You can't help it but to take it home with you. I do a lot of writing. I do a lot of writing about situations, being able to let them go. A friend of mine told me about a kind of an outside action that helps you alleviate the emotional pain that you have inside yourself. And that was one of the things I did for a while. I had a rock that I had that said Juan's mental health on it, and I would take it to the hospital, and when I would come home, I would leave it outside. So I left everything outside. I didn't bring nothing inside the house, you know, because a lot of that emotional turmoil and that pain and the emotional heartstrings, they affect the way you parent. They affect your life, I mean, everybody can see when you're having a hard time, especially kids. So I had to learn how to do different things. I've been to so many parenting classes and I don't have it figured out at all. Like it is so hard. But it's such a joy. Like I just wish that I had that as a kid, but today I get to relive my childhood through my children. Like I get to be with them and just have I got a second chance at that. That's
It's a
just
really beautiful thing. I have two girls myself, similar ages to yours. Mine are almost 9 and 11. So it's just a really fun age. And it's really hard. It's hard every day, you know? And I think you just got to show yourself some grace and do the best you can and, um, show them that you love them, show them that you believe in them, that they deserve to dream and be anything they want to be. Um, but it's hard. Some days are hard, and separating yourself from the work is hard, and
but
hard not to carry
it's
that stress for sure.
yeah, but it's been a joy. Like it's been such a joy. Like for them to watch me work as hard as I do, in school. I would help them with their homework and make dinner. I'm a single dad doing everything by myself, and I would help them with their homework and put them to bed, and then spend like 4 or 5 hours doing my homework, sleep for a couple hours and get up and send them to school and go to school and then go to work. And I mean, they watched me graduate from community college. They watched me when I won the Truman, they were with me and I just fell to the floor just crying. Like I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. And then when I graduated from OU, they were there. They were there. And my ex-wife and her husband were there too. It
It's
was
really amazing.
Well, I went through a high conflict custody case, and it didn't change until I changed. All that work that I'm doing, looking at myself and trying to make me better, I realized that I had to start forgiving people, and all that whole situation changed. I mean, uh, it, it was it was kind of unbelievable, going into that situation with Judge Gass, and then leaving that situation a way better person than what I deserve. And just kind of being a college graduate and just being able to just take the high road, you know?
I bet your kids are so proud of you.
Yeah, they tell me a lot. They don't act like they are, but they tell me, they tell me that they are. It's it's a great to be a father and just to really it's a blessing just to be alive today. I shouldn't be here. I mean, there's a guy that used to say I'm on borrowed time, and I get it today. I understand that completely. It's a privilege for me just to have life today, be able to help people, and have that heart of compassion.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. If you had a magic wand, you talked about some of the policies that you care about. Like, what would you change if you could about the criminal justice system?
Well, first, I would go into the prisons. Um, I'm a union iron worker too, um, and I'm planning on going back as soon as I can help the unhoused population and kind of change the incarceration rates. I plan on going back and being a connector again. I would go into the prisons and I would help the violent offenders. I would help all of them. I would teach them. I would bring the skilled trades with me. And I would end up teaching them how to do like electrical, HVAC, concrete, carpentry, and right outside the prisons, they could build a bunch of houses. And then they can put the people that are unhoused in these other areas in those places to have case management. We could actually have housing because most of those places, those prisons are in rural areas,
Yeah.
and there's a bunch of land that's cheap. I
Hmm.
mean, that's what I would do. And then after that, I would probably get into the communities. I would start putting power. I would start letting know people have that the people is the powers in the people. It's in the communities. We have to take our communities back from the crime and the drugs and just the areas that need to be fixed. And it's just we can take that back. It's just there's so many ideas I have that maybe will never come to fruition. But I tell the clients I tell all kinds of people, like people that don't even care. I'm just talking to people that ain't even listening,
I love
and it's fine.
I love that. I mean, you've done a lot of things that people would say are impossible, that you thought maybe were impossible. So I think the sky is the limit for you, truly. A remarkable story. Why do you think campaigns like this are important?
Because it gives politicians and lawmakers, people in policy, the opportunity to see the effects. They get to see the reality of what goes on. When you say something's not working, but you beat the odds, you're what is it? You're the exception. You're the one that's actually came out on the other side. It's possible, but it's hard. And they need to know things need to change. We need to help people, especially here in Oklahoma. There's a lot of Oklahomans that, they would have better jobs, they would have better places to stay, that are less crime infested, drug infested into communities. They would have such a better opportunity for them and their family. And we're just not doing that here.
Do you think you'll always be in Oklahoma? What keeps you there?
When these kids keep me here, I see myself in the Pacific Northwest. Like I see myself somewhere back in Oregon, especially probably Portland. And it's just so different, man. I love Oklahoma. Oklahoma's a great place, I have to stay here until my kids are grown. I gotta be a father. So I had an opportunity to go to any college I wanted to for policy after winning the Truman,
That's
and
amazing.
yeah, it was great. And reality set in Baltimore. Doing I was doing a presentation at a symposium, a McNair symposium, and I was talking to a doctor, and we were talking, and it just hit me. It's I'm not going to be able to go to Princeton. It just that just busted out into tears. I don't even know what she was talking about, really. Like it just hit me. Just that this is the life that I chose to have, but my responsibility is to be a consistent father. I have my primary purpose is to raise these kids so they have a better life than I ever had.
They will be so happy you made that choice. They will be.
I just wish they'd act like it.
Having two
uh,
girls, I get it. I totally get it. But they're going to
um,
remember that you showed up, that, you gave up some things that were important to you because of them, because you cared about them, you loved them, and you wanted to give them a better life. And I can just tell you have that relationship with them. So I don't think you'll regret it.
no, I don't think so. I think it's just another opportunity for me to show up.
Yeah.
That's
A
that's how
degree,
this life has been.
that's just another piece of paper. And as life goes on, and I have distance from my degrees, I'm proud of them. I am grateful for the education, but it's what you do in life that matters. Yeah, this
Yeah,
is so
I did when I graduated on the 10th of May. On the 13th, the graduate school started, and an accelerated program, so it's very fast paced, and it's just one of those things. I'm up for the challenge. I want to do this. That was the dream for me, to be a licensed clinical social worker, to be in the same following the same footsteps, the person that helped me.
I
And
love
every
that.
day that dream comes closer.
Awesome. How far away are you from completing that?
Uh, next summer,
That's
next
so
summer I'll be done.
exciting.
Yeah.
Really exciting. 1 year. Amazing. Well, is there anything that I didn't ask you about that you want to share with us?
No, I don't think that there's nothing. I think we covered there was there was actually a lot more to cover, but it was just that'll be for another time and another place. I hope that people that listen to this will be able to alleviate the problems that people face in this state, that they can actually understand that they're doing them an injustice by not helping people expunge their records.
Yeah, what would you change about the record clearance laws in Oklahoma?
Well, they already have House Bill 3316 that they never funded. It's went through the House and the Senate. They haven't funded it. I mean, they already done their budget for the year, for the next fiscal year. Um, they're going to have to do something because they let people out of prison and they go right back. I mean, you can find a job, but it's really hard for you as an individual to be able to maintain your livelihood, and be able to pay all your bills by yourself, especially with the way the economy is.
Sure, for
They
sure.
just need to give people a chance, and they're not doing it.
Yeah, yeah. Tough, a lot of change that needs to happen in the world, but I feel encouraged from when I started my career back in 2009, just as an attorney, as a public defender, to now, just how much things have changed. And there's still so much that needs to be done. But we have made a lot of progress, and that gives me hope that in 10 years from now, we're going to make a lot more progress. And I think it's because of people like you. It's really incorporating more and more people with lived experience to change it because they know what needs to be done. They're passionate about the change they want to see, and they're going to keep fighting until things are better. And I think one person can make the world of difference. So grateful to know you. So grateful to have a chance to interview you. And I can't wait to see what you do for the state of Oklahoma.